do it again. Hello, and a very warm welcome. Driver ratings for the Bahrain Grand Prix. All 20 drivers covered as we rate them out of 10 for their weekend. The first driver ratings of the season. One of my favourite videos to do. Let's go. We start with Red Bull. Max, 10. Pole, race win, dominant, fastest lap. Led every single lap, 22 seconds he won by. I mean, barely broke sweat. He's a four-time champion. And yeah, it was a dominant display. Perfection. Sergio Perez, 8. He qualified 5th, finished 2nd. That's the maximum he could get in the race. Put some clean moves. But Sergio Perez needs to work on that qualifying. Because he qualifies 5th, then he's got to fight through. And by the time he's fought his way through, Max is gone. So he needs to be qualifying 2nd. Next, Ferrari. Charles Leclerc, 8. Yeah, he qualified P2. Very disappointed. Winning, champions mentality. But in the race, lots of locking, brake issues. He wasn't happy. But he still finished 4th with all them issues. And yeah, just look forward to the next 23. Charles Leclerc. Carlos Sainz, 9. He qualified 4th, finished on the podium, finished 3rd. Some bold moves. He was stuck behind his teammate. Surely team orders will come into play, but they didn't. He put some bold moves. Sainz was on fire. I'll give him 9. But he did win driver of the day. I thought Max deserved that more, in fairness. Sainz has only gone from 4th to 3rd. Max dominated. That's just my opinion. Mercedes, Lewis Hamilton, 4. He really had an average weekend. Really average. Nothing to shout home about. I mean, he's just announced he's going to Ferrari. I want a reaction. Last season with Mercedes, I want a reaction. And it was... His highlight of the weekend was he was fastest in practice 2. He qualified P9. The field's very close, yeah, but qualified 9th, finished 7th, seat issues, battery issues. It's a poor weekend for Lewis Hamilton. It can only get better in Saudi. I thought he was way below par. George Russell, 8. He qualified 3rd, qualifying star, finished 5th, overheating issues. Mercedes really had a lot of issues, overheating, cooling issues in the race. Yeah, top Mercedes all weekend. George, pretty good. Solid start, but it's only the first race. So George needs to keep this up because we know what happened last season. McLaren, get in there. Come on. Lando Norris, 8. Qualifies P7. Again, very critical of himself. Oh, I qualified 7th. I could have been P2. We see this a lot by Lando. Oh, I could have been on the front row, should have been on the front row. Well, if my auntie was my uncle, she'd have a pair of nuts. But unfortunately, he qualified 7th, finished 6th, top McLaren, very close to the Mercedes. It's a positive for McLaren. Yeah, I said they're the 3rd best team, McLaren, and yeah, I think it's very close between McLaren and Merc. Oscar Piastri, 5. I thought he was a bit like Hamilton, very average. Qualified 8th, finished 8th. Seemed a bit off it all weekend, Oscar. Yeah, struggled. And yeah, again, Lando really had his number. It was a poor weekend for Piastri. But points on the board, we kick on to Saudi. Aston Martin, Fernando Alonso, 6. Pulled out a mega lap in qualifying as he qualified P6. And then in the race, he finished 9th. That's the best he could do. Aston Martin are the 5th best team, so they should be finishing 9th and 10th. And that's what they did. Lance Stroll, 6. A poor qualifying. He qualified P12. Should be in the top 10. But he got hit by Nico Hulkenberg on the first lap. He was down to last. It's a good recovery by Lance Stroll to finish P10 and get a point. Hey up, Alpine. Roll up, roll up. It's the Alpine Clown Show. Wow, this team. The last team. Wow, crazy. Esteban Ocon 3. Now, I'm going to give them 3 because it's not actually the driver's fault. The car is a bag of shit. Really, you could give both of these drivers 5 because they're not to blame for the car's performance. But, I don't know. Ocon has qualified 19th. He's finished 17th. It's as bad as it gets. They're a works team, and they are the last team. Gasly 3, he qualified last, finished 18th. Very happy. Did his best Jose Mourinho impression. If I speak, I'm in big, big trouble. I prefer not to speak. Alpine, honestly, embarrassing. Williams, Alex Albon 5, qualified 13th. Finished 15th. Alarms going off all race. Not great for Williams. Yeah, just average, really. Logan Sargent 3. Qualified P18. Once again, a disgrace. He finished last. Stopped out on the circuit. Maybe he should have retired then, because it would have been less painful. He had the same issue as qualifying. Yeah, Logan needs to improve. He really does. On to Racing Bulls. 1'1", 7. Now, he qualified 11th. Beat Ricciardo. And then in the race, poor strategy. And then the team orders came into play. And 1'1" ended up 14th. The team orders make no sense. But after the race, Yuki dive-bombed Ricciardo on the slowdown lap. And that is unacceptable. He can't be doing that. Yeah, I don't care who you are. I've got to call it as I see it. You can't be doing that. But he was angry and he had a right to be angry. But he can't be doing that. Yeah, but he had a good weekend. He's got to beat Daniel Ricciardo and he's beaten Daniel Ricciardo. Yeah, I don't get the team orders. Ridiculous. Team orders to finish in the same places. They should have swapped it back on the last lap. Daniel Ricciardo 5, very average weekend for him. His highlight was finishing P1 in practice 1. Qualified 14th, finished 13th. And yeah, Golden Boy got his favouritism again, it seems. Because Yuki had his number. Steady Eddie, Guan Yu Zhou, 7. Yeah, very impressed. He qualified 17th, but he finished 11th. We always say this guy is the hardest guy to mark for me, and that is a good statement for the first race of the season. Positive for Joe. And yeah, I give him a decent mark. I thought he did a good race. One of his better races. Porntash, Valtteri Bottas, 5. Qualified 16th. A horror pit stop ended Valtteri's race, ruined his race, and he finished 19th. Last but not least, Haas F1. Hulkenberg, 6. Hero to 0, Nico Hulkenberg. What a qualifying. Once again, Mr. Saturday delivers. Qualified 10th. His Q2 performance where he got 6 was outstanding. But you got to mark him down for his big mistake in turn 1 where he hit Lance Stroll. He damaged his win. And it was a test session really for Hulkenberg after that. Kevin Magnussen, 6. Yeah, P15. In quali, annoyed with himself, but then he finished 12th, and Haas seemed to have better pace and wasn't burning through their tyres like last season. So there we have it, driver ratings for the Bahrain Grand Prix. Next week we go to Saudi Arabia. Thanks for the support. And yeah, tomorrow we will be covering Yuki and Daniel. Yeah, that should be an interesting one. I love doing driver ratings. Adios.